my question is actually about the relationship between God or goddess and the inner child. You've talked about this on past calls, but I just wanted more clarity. Where do we humans belong in the relationship between God and the inner child? So, what is the most empowered perspective I can have as my adult self in this relationship? All right, so let me just take a couple moments with this because I think sometimes people get confused with it. This, if you think of these different aspects of yourself, like you are all this one big, you're like a pie that has different slices to it. I guess that's one way to say it, but your whole self incorporates everything. So you have this inner divine that is your that is the God inside of you. It is this goddess. It's the living consciousness. And it's the great, I like to call it the great I. It's the transcendent self that has been you through countless incarnations. So there's that. Then you've got the me. And the me is the individual small self in any given incarnation. So the me is the part that says, I am this age, I am this gender, I am this nationality, I am healthy, I am not, I am wealthy, I am not, whatever. It's all of these other forms of identity that the human gloms onto. That's the me. Now, the I, especially with the kind of work we're doing here, the I begins to take the lead through invitation. This is literally what we're doing. We are moving from the teachings of a culture that says the me should run the show. The me should get everything it wants. The me should have a tantrum when it doesn't get what it needs. We're moving out of that into saying the me can be honored. The me needs to be taken care of. But that the great I leading, the intuition, the depth of intuition that comes from the great I leading is the road to sanity. It's also the road to awakening. This is how it happens. If your whole identity is simply the small me, I am this, I am that, it's an endless sleepwalk. When the identity begins to move into that consciousness that, letting the divine take the lead, letting the great I take the lead, then you start to remember who you really are, separate from just this individual incarnation. And so the child is an aspect of that me. And it's very valuable. It is so valuable to take care of that inner child because you get a lot of, when people talk about spiritual bypassing and you get people that are like, oh, I'm so evolved, I'm so this, I'm so that. And, it's just completely delusional and the inner kid is inside just squalling and crying and it doesn't feel loved. And there's the road to integration really comes from simultaneously inviting the divine to take the lead, allowing that great I to begin to guide the life, and at the same time not throwing the little kid overboard, like really saying to that, individual, that younger part of the me, I am here for you. It's valuable. It's not like the purpose of spiritual evolution is to go get rid of that kid. It's to integrate it and love it and honor it, but not be letting it drive the car. And I think that's so often the thing that goes on, at least that I've witnessed, is that so many people, especially in a culture like ours, the kid is doing the driving. and the kid is just freaked out and neglected and fearful and hates itself and all these things. So there's a lot of work we do in this forum about loving the child, taking good care of it, whatever. But the purpose isn't to make the child the identity, to make the child be the driver. The purpose is for the divine to be driving, and then you could, I guess, if you need an image, you could say the inner divine is driving through the me, the human me, and the little kid is being well taken care of by the inner adult. I mean, one way to see that me is that there's parts of it. There's the adult me and there's the child me, and they're both there together with the divine in the lead. So I hope that helps. If you overthink this, I will guarantee you will lose your marbles. You will go crazy and you'll feel like there's all these different aspects that are rolling around inside of you. So I highly recommend not overthinking it and just intuitively sensing these parts. It works a lot better. And what will happen is if you get out of the way, you'll find that just more and more this inner, spontaneous, intuitive, great I starts to guide. And then, one way you could apply this is to go back to that first letter where, she was saying, I offered everything over, and then I didn't get the result that, I wanted, and now I feel like a loser. That's the kid. See, this dynamic goes on all the time. The part that, when all of a sudden you're like, well, I didn't get what I wanted, I'm a real screw up. That's the kid. So that's the opportunity, like with the example of that letter, to go back in and say, all right, I have to really, really give some love to that kid who feels so, like she was set up, or, that she tried to do the right thing and once again it didn't work out. Now's the chance to go into that kid and say, you did nothing wrong. I love you. I'm there for you. This is all going to be offered back to the divine. Very often when somebody goes, off the edge into blaming themselves, berating themselves, the whole thing, it's the kid. So learning how to take care of that from the place of the loving adult is it changes everything. And then the last thing I would say on that is what does start to happen is that the loving adult on the inside, who's part of that me, that energy starts to blur over time with the great I. You start to feel this steadfast, compassionate voice on the inside that you're like, it's like a melding of your inner loving adult and the great I. It all just starts becoming one. So that's why I always say, for some people, if you feel like you can't hear, quote unquote, God, you can't hear inner guidance, don't worry about it. Find your freaked out child on the inside and just start sending love to it. And the part of your adult, the healthy adult who knows how to love that kid, that healthy adult on the inside will start connecting you to the inner divine. It's a magic trick I've seen over and over and over for years now. I don't know why it's not talked about more, but I talk about it, so I'm glad you're here. All right.